poem.
Lovely, exactly. I remember when you submitted this poem, it really touched me. I thought it was a fantastic portrayal of everything you've just said. So hopefully, when we get you to do it in a couple of people's time, hopefully your day will be a bit better.
Perfect, amazing.
Okay. Thank you. Next up, we have Faye, who is doing a monologue from Iphigenia in Splot.
I'm Effie, I say, and he nods like, yeah, he already knew. He says I'm Lee, and I feel like I knew that too. He's leaning against a futon and curled into a bed that takes up most of the floor of the spare room, and for a second I'm scared. Not scared of him, fuck no, scared of... And to fight it, I grab his belt like, fuck it, let's get stuck in, but he stops me, holds me back, and says I've got something to show you. And he takes his top off. And it's nice, you know, lots of muscle, but a little bit of slack around the belly. And to be honest, I like that more. There's something weird about guys who are like obsessive about carrying an ounce of fat. He goes for his belt, says, okay, don't freak out. I say, mate, anything up to a foot I can take, but more than that in certain positions is going to have to be a no-go, okay? And he smiles at me. A smile that's a bit sad. And though I just meant to lighten the mood, his smile made me wish I hadn't said anything like that. And he takes his jeans off. His legs are lovely, but one of them stops at the knee, and there's straps and plastic. He sits back and kicks off his jeans, and yet his right leg is plastic from the knee down. So he gets to work on the buckles, pulls the plastic free, and I don't know, something comes out like a stump of flesh that just ends. The skin folds over to a red, angry ridge, black stitch marks where they stuck the flaps of skin together. He says, have you ever heard of an improvised explosive device? I say, well, not really. He tells me he's not been able to show himself to anyone since. So I kiss him. I kiss him everywhere. I kiss the cut, I kiss the stitches, and you know, it feels like nothing I've ever kissed, and I say, well, I think it's beautiful.
Yay, brilliant. Yeah, tell us a bit about why you chose this monologue to perform.
I've loved the play for ages, and I kind of shoved loads of bits, because the whole play is just a monologue. I've shoved loads of the bits together to create one full piece with individual bits that I wanted to include. And I do think it's really good for what's going on right now and this time. And it's also like, everybody's different, everybody's got their own uniqueness, and it may not be the colour of your skin or where you're from or who your parents are or stuff like that. It may be like something physical, and that we may think they're imperfections, but actually somebody else could be looking at that and thinking it's just so beautiful. So to not judge, and especially like with what's going on with Brexit and everything like that, we're all unique, we're all individual, we're all here for a reason, and we should all be appreciated by someone.
Yeah, it's louder again for the people in the back.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Faye.
Thank you, Shakira, for having me.
No worries. We'll catch up with you at the end of the show when we do our Q&A.
Cool, thank you.
Brilliant. Next up, we have Safia Oakley Green, and she is doing an original poem called If You Want to Be Heard, Then Stand Up. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah? Cool.
Perfect.
I'm Safia Oakley Green, and this is my poem, If You Want to Be Heard, Then Stand Up. Half caste, half breed. You end up living with the label society gives you, allows, grants, permits you, this present that you'll never own, something you can't call your own. So if you want to be heard, then stand up. Black. The word represents nothing. It neither represents its absence nor its place. So long as you are black, you are other. Other. I am a tiny speck of dust. I'm an invisible particle as light as a sigh. Race is almost the perfect trick, something on some judgment on something 2 millimeters thick, but when you have nothing and someone gives you something, that one thing becomes everything. So if you want to be heard, then stand up, because sitting down is the only thing that's stopping you from succeeding, achieving, believing. I want to be heard, so I'm stood up talking, telling, showing, educating you that I do not identify as much. I am stood up and I'm telling you that I will not follow the mainstream narrative of my life. But if you want to be heard, then stand up. Because I'm not denying that people are biased and I am still people. I'm just asking you to think with a little more texture and flavor rather than this is this and that is that. I am mixed with strength and pride, not black and white. I'm not a tragedy of circumstance, but a product of excellence. Black and white is straight morally wrong, but no one listens to the minority song. So if you want to be heard, then stand up. People could take your kindness for weakness, and they could take your silence for speechless. They could consider your uniqueness strange. But if you want to be heard, then stand up. Because if you don't speak about your pain, don't announce the words on your brain, even if you might sound deranged. They'll kill you and they'll say you liked it. Thanks. That was it.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Safia. Yeah, tell us a bit about this poem.
Okay, so there was like a spoken English competition at my school and you had to do a poem for it. So I decided to write one. And it was kind of a response to like growing up and being kind of unsure who I was and where I was put in society. And a lot of people making that decision for me before I'd made it for myself. So this was me saying that to them.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Next
Thanks
up,
for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thanks for submitting and being a part of it. Next up, we have all the way from New York, Hart Fargo, doing New York, it's not you, it's me.
Right. Living my Rachel Barry fantasy should have felt better than it did. New York should have been the sound of everything clicking into place. The old boots I could slip into without any effort. You know, I'm writing this in the past tense, even though I haven't officially made the decision to go home yet. But it feels like in allowing these words to fall out, my mind is accepting a decision my body already knows to be true. And the real kicker is that it both was and wasn't, or is and isn't all of the above. When everything was at its New Yorkiest and I was having the most wonderful time, that is when I would find a silent tear in the corner of my eye that would refuse to budge. One afternoon, running through my little corner of Brooklyn, warm gusts of wind jostled me along the water's edge. I was buoyant and felt more and more triumphant with each thud of my foot hitting the pavement. Everything was as it should be, free and floating around with Norwegian pop princess Sigrid blasting in my ears. Standing at the end of a pier that from the shore looked like it jetted straight out into the skyline, I caught my breath. Panting and inhaling flecks of water on the breeze, I suddenly caught tears rolling down my cheeks, and any attempt to stop them only made their stream thicker and faster. I smiled at the absurdity of the sight, and realizing that there was no stopping the tears from falling, continued on my run. Months earlier, when walking myself home from a solo night out at a local divey gay bar, the same thing had happened. I didn't understand why I was crying. I had just made a best friend on the dance floor and had had the best time as I reported back to my sister the next day. Dom, the cowering wallflower who came alive when Lizzo started to play, and I, the frightened boy who had to get away from a man who put his fingers in my drink, didn't speak for the first 45 minutes of our friendship. We just danced, hyping each other up with stanky facial expressions and flailing arm gestures that conveyed our excitement to have found each other on the postage stamp of a dance floor. We danced until we were so sweaty it looked like we had run in for shelter from a downpour, only taking breaks to cast each other a knowing look when some messy drunk tried to crash our exclusive dance party. As I was taking myself home a few hours later, a shanty and robin still ringing in my ears, one tear and then another started to fall. Again, I was confused. I was so happy, but it was as if my tear ducts weren't aware of that fact. On reflection, I realized what had happened to me in these moments. I had bumped into myself. I had found myself without even realizing that I had gone missing. The true essence of myself was staring back at me, sweating with abandon, shaking his arse, waving his arms around in a gay bar, standing at the water's edge, feeling the rain fall down and the wind blow in his face. If this is all sounding very Natasha Bedingfield, that is because it is. These moments acted as the defibrillator that woke me up, that reminded me to stop holding my breath, to stop waiting for life to happen to me, to go out and inhale it all in, to get back into my body by all means necessary. Dancing around in my pants is a surefire shortcut. I would use these moments as vital emotional fuel, a grade A hit of endorphins to keep me pushing through, a fun story, a great memory, a secret laugh to hold on to when there was not much else to laugh about in the oncoming week. But I don't want to only experience these moments sparingly once every few months. I don't want that. I want my friends, the people who know the bones of me sat around a kitchen table with cheesy baked potatoes, lasagna with generously torn up garlic bread. I want gin and tonic in a can and to not be met with a funny look when I ask if I can pay with contactless. I want to get some cool girl's name wrong at a party and it not matter because I can laugh about it with my best friend an hour later in the toilet. I don't want to shrink myself to fit a story I dreamt up when I was younger. New York, I love you. Your bagels are unbeatable. My secret spot to view your skyline is a masterpiece. Living 10 minutes away from my sister is a luxury and a lifeline. I love you. Pizza grease dripping down my chin, showing off to my friends who come to visit. My stoop, I love you. But the fog of a Sunday night, dragging my feet through Monday and Tuesday until the hump of Wednesday allows me to see a glimpse of the weekend, isn't a sustainable way to live. New York, you have given me the warmest welcome I could have possibly asked for. I literally got to work on Broadway and then land a job that people would fight tooth and nail for. But I think you've known for a while now that my heart lies back in Blighty, at least for right now. I know that this is not a one-time fling. This love affair will most definitely continue. But the best thing about summer holidays was always getting to go back to school, debriefing about everything that happened with your friends and picking up where you left off. New York, it's not you, it's me. I think I need to go home. Heart.
Oh my gosh. Well done. First of all, as soon as you're back in London, we're going for a night out.
All right, I can make
that.
that.
Every single pop reference, I was like, yes, come on, come on. Yeah, I mean, it's almost self-explanatory. It was so full and rich in detail. But, you know, I want to talk a bit more about how that came about and what was the triggering point for you to write this letter to yourself?
Yeah, I think I moved here about coming up to like 10 months ago. And I kind of gave myself a year and I was like, okay, move for a year, try it out, see what happens. And then I think for the past couple of months, I've kind of had these niggling thoughts of wanting to go home, but trying my best to ignore them because you feel like you've let people down or you've failed and like you made such a big thing of moving. But the other night, just out of nowhere, I kind of just let how I really felt just kind of come out. There was no more like pushing it under the rug. And yeah, that came out. And I'm so happy here. Like I am so fortunate and I am so grateful. But sometimes you just like want a bowl of chips from Spoons with your best mates.
And that's what's so beautiful and so moving about it is you can tell that you know, it's not like you moved to New York and you were sold a fantasy and it ends up being rubbish. Like you can tell that you're really loving it there and it's like you're torn. But like you say, sometimes you can build yourself up to do or to want something and then get it and then go, do you know what? It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's life.
It is. And like, I wanted to be here for the longest time, like probably 5 or 6 years now. But 5 or 6 years ago, I wouldn't have even had like the capability to have dreamt up the life I ended up having in London. So yeah, thank you so much for letting me share.
Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, next up we have Hannah Jennings, and she's doing a mashup of a few monologues from Misty by Arinze Kenny.
A lot of crazy shit happens on the night bus. One shouldn't settle disputes on the night bus. One shouldn't settle disputes after 10 at night, boss. You're only ever going to end up in a fight, trust. Here is the city that we live in. Notice that the city that we live in is alive. Analyze our city and you'll find that our city even has bodily features. Our city functions like any living creature. Our city is a living creature, a living, breathing city creature broken into boroughs. Mostly living creatures are broken into organs, but for city creature, each borough is an organ. And if we're saying that the boroughs be the organs now, you might liken the borough that I live in to the bowel. So if boroughs be the organs of our city creature, then our motorways are arteries of city creatures. The high streets be artilleries of city creatures, and each road is a capillary. You'll notice that travelling down these blood vessels of our city creature, night buses are packed with blood cells, red and white. Them's the passengers, you and you. It's a normal night. Some of you are like, more of you get on and pack it tight. But all is well, because blood cell to blood cell, there's nothing to fear. Not unless something sneaks through the back door before the driver has a chance to shut it, and it's pushing. And it's nudging and it's shoving up the place, and you can't see its face because it's got a hoodie on its head, but you can see its waist because it's got its trousers down its legs, and you can see its boxer shorts. But of course, you ain't judging because there's nothing you ain't seen before. You're just collectively aware of him. And there's nothing wrong with that, because he came through the back, and blood cells don't like scaggy surprises sneaking through the back door in dark baggy disguises. It piques the nervous system, the whole blood temperature rises, and for safety purposes, a word to the wise, avert your eyes and sit in silence. The door's shut, the night bus pulls away, and now there's no getting off. And if you're wise enough, you'll know that not all of us aboard this bus are blood cells. Nah, one of us is a virus. Some toxic, irreversible shits are bound to visit the night bus. One shouldn't settle disputes on the night bus. One shouldn't settle disputes after 10 at night bus. You're only going to get infected by some virus. I jumped the night bus and it's packed. That's the only reason I came through the back, because when it's packed, the driver won't open the front, and I ain't going to stand in the rain like a cunt. As soon as I'm on, I realise I'm the only virus one. Apart from the driver chauffeuring in the front, but he's sat there in his glass cage, which implies he's had his last days of virus rage. Antiviral oppression probably rendered him depressed and submissive, bereft of spirit, compliant, not a breath of defiant left in him, since they arrested him and disinfected him. I'm on the lower deck. This bus is so rammed, I have to stand by the door, and I keep getting nudged in the back by this prick, and I swear, he nudges me one more. Oh, you see me standing here, yeah? Watch it, yeah? I've already had a really bad night and I'm pissed off, so I must look like a pussy, because this dickhead's pushing me, and the whole bus goes silent. How can I not get violent? I look this blood cell in the eye like, what's happening? I crack my knuckles, step to him, start cackling. Other passengers back away, fearfully nattering. I get too happy, slapping him. Blood spells splattering, battering him, nothing else mattering. Bet he won't ever consider doing that again. I get off the bus. I just walk away. No need to run. Keep calm and carry on. When a virus shakes up a blood cell, the organ don't cope well. The whole city creature goes pale, the body feeble. Antivirals administered by hypodermic needle go on patrol in search of us virus people. As they police through the blood vessels, we scatter like roaches, scuttle into the shadows like beetles. They don't want us roaming city creature. They don't want us multiplying. They don't want an upheaval, a mutiny. Because they know I'm polyhedral and there's not much they can do but lock me up and ask me to be peaceful. They ask that you stay away from us. Don't play with us and never lay with us. They make you heedful. They want to eat my soul. They want us barefooted and broke. They portray us as dark hearts and evils, and it's deceitful. because they created us and now they hating us, label us medieval. We get angry and we switch and we shout. They say that we're primitive, that we're limited, uncongenial. Yeah, that's why it's deceitful, because they created us and now they hate us. Turn around and put the onus on us. You want to blame it all on me? It's all my fault, the way that I be. You're taking no responsibility. Yeah, makes me want to multiply and infect you so you'll die. The whole city creature makes me want to rally up all my viruses and start a massive riot, start fires and pull off car tires and loot shops and the whole lots. And when the cop comes to kettle us, we give him heat like kettle pots, give him that hot volcanic rock, raise up our tops, pull out our Glocks, blow them out their socks, gunshots like blah, blah. The street cleaners are going to need a bigger mop for what's coming. Thank you.
Oh my God, the transition between you popping off to just that cute little thank you. I can't deal with that. That was phenomenal. That energy. Right, talk to me. What made you pick this?
Because I went to go see Misty when it was on at Trafalgar Studios, and I was really lucky enough to have sat front row, and I was just completely blown away and enamored by the writing and the energy that Arenze brought to it. And it's a beautiful piece of work that I think can be performed by anyone really. And it can, you don't have to be a guy, you can be a girl. I think it sort of falls into that spoken word category. And I think people of colour can all relate to a lot of what's said in it. And that sort of feeling of stepping into a space, whether it's a night bus or a pub or anything, and being like, oh, I'm the only one here. And I'm not the only one that's noticed it, everyone else has. And I also just thought the use of the word virus, how timely.
I know, it's perfect. It is perfect. And you delivered it perfectly. Let me tell you, that energy was on point the whole way through. I'm so impressed. I'm out of breath just watching you. I don't know how you've got the strength to keep speaking.
I think I was just so excited to perform again.
Well, you did a fantastic job.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. We'll catch up with you again at the end for the Q&A.
Okay, great.
We're going to go back to Chloe again. She's moved to a different room. Hopefully we can hear it properly now because it's a beautiful poem. You're on mute at the minute, Chloe. There you go.
I'm back.
You're back.
I had less. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. I literally have just done a knee surgery and I had to rush between rooms. So this Wi-Fi would come back on. Can't believe my laptop.
Sacrifice for our art. Lovely. When you're ready.
Okay, yeah, let's get this ready. So this is hopefully successfully my original poem, Change Game, by me, Chloe Sommer. Some days I feel like I want to take on the world and score, thrive, explore, show everyone what I've got to give and more. I want to feel free to express and not let my insecurities creep in, not to feel afraid of what others could think of me. Is that such a sin? I see people embracing the whole being, sharing their imperfections, perfections, claiming anything that we be seeing. I wonder if this is a true acknowledgement of someone accepting their true self, or rather a display of any weaknesses they see before we claim them ourselves. Some days I'll see myself as the beautiful mixed queen I am, luscious curls, thick body, plenty of curves to go with that 6'1" height like down. But with good can always come some bad. Yes, I've got saggy skin, stretch marks, and my hair can be a bitch turned that's mad. Society fixes these standards upon us, physically, socially, got to be how they want us. Too many unnatural expectations to uphold. I should apologise for body hair or for having a voice too bold. Some days I want to scream out to people, is it just me? Whatever you embrace, someone will always try to shut it down, is what I see. A tall person being told to own their space, but to shrink themselves as soon as they dominate. Race activists being told to act upon their cultural representation, then twist their words of passion for aggression, too much exhilaration. I am adamant that violence is not the solution for positive change. It is not a fight against which body type, culture, or religion earns top praise. We are all a product of nature, whatever sexuality or race which comes with that. We want to embrace every person's uniqueness. Let people be educated on personal facts. Some days I want to say every day, Every day that I should feel love, giving the respect to have for others and myself. Every day to empower and be impacted by someone's kind mind, not their wealth. Every day to know that I don't have to be afraid of not behaving in society's norm of being sane. Every day to keep my head held high and change the game. Change the Game by me, Chloe Sommer. Hopefully audible this time.
It was still a little bit crackly, but we got it and it is beautiful. I know. What we can do is we can post it. We'll post the actual words of the poem so everyone can actually get the real feel of that, because it's not fair the world doesn't hear that or see that, because it's beautiful.
Thank you very much. Sorry about the technical.
It's what we've got to do. Don't apologise, don't blame yourself, blame Rona. Next up we have Tolu with her original poem, So.
So sometimes I wish. So sometimes I wish that. So sometimes I wish that I wasn't born black. So sometimes I wish that I wasn't born black, so that maybe, just maybe, I could be an other, an us, or a them. That maybe I could walk down the streets without having to be looked at, without having the glares or the stares, without feeling trapped or without feeling the need to adapt. So sometimes I wish that I wasn't born black, so that maybe, just maybe, they wouldn't call me the N-word, or a slave, or an angry black girl, or ghetto, or sassy, or the list goes on. So sometimes I wish that I wasn't born black, so that maybe, just maybe, the pigment of my skin, the color of my skin, wouldn't make me feel inferior, wouldn't make me feel less than I already am. So sometimes I wish that if I wasn't, I could navigate this world freely. I could have the freedom to truly be me in all my shining glory, that I could fit into spaces and places, that what would actually be taught would be my history. But instead, in this United Kingdom, blackness is a mystery. Don't get me wrong, I've fallen in love with my melanin. It took 20 years plus several tears, but I've finally fallen in love with my melanin, with my sheer butter using skin, with my black girl magic, my black girl magic, my black girl magic that keeps on defying the norms, that keeps on soaring, shining and slaying in this world, that keeps on thriving and striving. But there are days in which I wish. So sometimes I wish that I wasn't born black. So sometimes I wish that I wasn't born black, so that maybe I could just be. Thank you.
The black girl magic, the black girl magic. Hey.
Love.
Oh, thank you so much. When you first submitted this, I actually got so teary watching it.
Sorry.
It's no, because it's just so beautiful, and I think it speaks to everyone. You know, dark skin, light skin, mix, everybody, every person of color, you know, feels this way and has felt this way at some point in our life.
Yeah.
You know, I've wished this. So yeah, tell us more about it.
It's literally basically what you said. So I wrote it for this specifically, and I was just like, what if I imagine a world where there wasn't, like, I guess, the stereotypes or the like perceptions of us as people of color. So just basically kind of changing the narrative and being like, imagine if I wasn't black, then you won't be looking at me. Or if I wasn't like listening to this type of artist, you won't be like, because they're black, you must know this. You get it? So yeah.
And that's the beauty of it, is it wasn't self-deprecating, it wasn't, you know, that's what you actually want. It's you'd like to have that for a period of time just to see what it's like to be different. And I think it's perfect, and it explains beautifully to people who aren't black or a person of color just what goes through a person of color's head on a regular basis.
Well, just more to us than our skin. Like, I can listen to rock music, I like R&B, but on the side, I'm just saying that, you know, I might not even like chicken, so just like all those stereotypes.
You feel me? I'm vegan, girl.
You know, like that. It doesn't but yeah.
Thank you so much, Tolly.
Sarah, thank you.
Thank you. And next we have, oh, it's me. Okay, I'm going to be performing a monologue / poem from my one-person show, Things I Can Laugh About Now. I was 15 when I had my first mid-youth crisis, and I've had about 2 a year ever since. I call them my biannual mid-youth crises. A mid-youth crisis is kind of exactly like a midlife crisis, except for you're young, and there's a lot less impulsive motorbike purchases involved. Normally, when I have these mid-youth crises, I get really down, and I get in my head, and I start to reel off lists of all the things I haven't done, of all the things I'll never do, of all the things I'll never be, of all the things I am not. But during my most recent mid-youth crisis, which was a lot more recent than I care to admit, I decided to write a list of all the things that I am. I am a descendant, not of immigrants, but of people. People who came to this country post-World War II as nurses and mechanics, who helped rebuild this country in many ways their Caucasian peers could never match. They earned their British passports, their citizenships, a citizenship that some people who have not even worked a fraction as hard in their life were given for free, yet my ancestors were the unwelcome. I am a British citizen. But where are you from? No, where are you actually from? I am a 4-year-old who feels like a burden to everyone in her life. I am an adult who feels like a burden to everyone in her life. I am a feminist. I am also someone who objectifies herself for attention and acceptance. I am both masculine and feminine. I am getting a lot hairier as I get older. I am covered in acne scars and ingrown hairs and stretch marks and jiggly skin. But I am beautiful. I am gorgeous. I am someone who loves sex. I am someone who's not afraid to say she loves sex. I am someone who uses sex as a way to make herself feel wanted, and I am someone who enjoys having sex with herself more than anyone else. I am a control freak, but I'm also a procrastinator. I am really good at getting stains out, and I am reminded of my mortality and how old I'm growing every time I add an extra scoopful of Vanish Oxy Action Brilliant Whites to the washing machine with a triumphant smirk. I am someone who is so independent she will never need anyone to look after her. I am someone who is so lonely all she wants is someone to hold her. I am a queer, mentally ill, 6-foot-tall, black, lower working class woman. I am convinced being every minority under the sun gives me the right to have an opinion on everything. I'm aware it does not. I am mixed race. I am a swirl baby. I am reminded that I am the black one by my white peers and I am not fully black by my black ones. I'm unsure where the fuck I fit in, and I'm unsure whether or not I want to fit in. I love avocado on toast, but I'll still cover it in all-purpose seasoning. I am someone who prefers gin to rum, but I'll still take either mixed with some ginger beer, especially if it's free. I am terrified of the sea. I am not being funny, right, but like 90% of the ocean has not even been discovered yet. And some of the things that have been discovered are fucking revolting looking. I actually shudder to think what the other bastards down look like. And I'm just like, if you can stay as far away from me for as long as possible, that'd be brilliant, yeah? You stay in your ends, I'll stay in my ends, yeah? I'm a rambler. I am someone who will not shut the fuck up until she is stopped, and even then will ask to finish her sentence and end up saying another paragraph. I am still depressed. I am still not over what happened to me. I am someone who suffers from PTSD and OCD and BPD and A&D, but I am free. I am the human equivalent to the reduced section in the supermarket. A little bit damaged, but still fit for consumption. I am sure that one day someone will see my bright yellow sticker and smile with excitement like I do when I see a ripe mango for 49p. I am someone who gets way too involved in other people's bullshit. I am coming from a good place as someone who cares, but I am always left feeling guilty afterwards. I'm working really hard to change that. I am someone who takes her anger out on the wrong people. I'm working really hard to change that too. I am self-deprecating. I am harder on myself than anyone else ever could be. But I am proud of myself. I'm also unable to watch Monsters, Inc. because Sully perved on my mum at Disneyland when I was 13. I am still alive. I am getting better. I am enough. Thank you very much. That was a piece from my one-person show, Things I Can Laugh About Now, which is like a tragicomedy of a 20-something mixed-race girl navigating her way through the series of unfortunate events that are her life. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Next up, we have Corey P, and he's doing two poems. One is called I'm Here, and the other is called Reddish Brown.
Yo, sorry guys. Shit. Sorry about that. Hey, I'm Corey P, and this is I'm Here. Why am I here? Maybe she means why am I in a foreign country alone? I'm from a city that has no room for me. I'm from years of striding down scenically grey street corners and surfing carpets and couches and sleeping on buses and doorsteps and in gym toilets, running from the heavy hand and mental warfare of my Jamaican daddy. And so I came here because I needed a change of scenery, one that I thought began with travel across the sea, and even here I can't take my eyes off the gravel. So it felt right to leave the city that seemed to have no room for me. Why am I here? I'm not just here. I am right there. My childhood is braided into the plaits of her hair beneath my socio-economic uniform of a snapback upon her hearty head. You see, the snapback and hoodie that vilify my current aesthetic are trends when sat upon her shoulders, but I'm not allowed to be here. Campus safety, university police, approach. First of all, take off your hood, you're dressed like a hoodlum. I respond, I'm dressed like my ears are cold and my hair's a mess. Only to receive an emphatic response from the girl who had the nerve to disturb my isolated tiptoes, only to question why I was there. Like, oh my God, he's British, but he's black. Don't make a scene, sir. Analyze the eye lines in a private bubble of money like this when a black boy in a hood walks by. I am the scene. Some of the smartest people I know stand static. The scenery that lines the streets, and they see success and worth in becoming part of a stream of youths inherently shadowing those hooded street corners. That's their hope. By the sinking stepping stone of a cracked and trodden pavement, they've grown. They're smarter than you or me, but they'll never know that they should be here too. They're just as capable, just as important as me and you. They should be here too. You see, you're just here. I'm being paid to be, because having had no home by the age of 13, I decided to build my own. So by the time I even hit university, I had me 18 GCSEs and programming and management positions by the age of 17, and awards in academia and the sports and the arts, and a poem published in the Cambridge Anthology, and a lead in a short film used in schools nationally, and a show that I wrote, cast, directed, produced by a world-renowned theatre, and the lead in a professional production at another. You didn't know that, did you? That's not what my hood looks like to you, or that's why I'm here. Next time, before you query someone's right to be in your vicinity, assume they move mountains and continents just to earn the right to be. You remind me that I'm a foreign entity every single day, unnecessarily, as if I need you to remind me that I look and sound like something you'd expect to capture a few oceans away, but I'm here. So just let me be. Please just let me be. I didn't say any of that. Yep, that's the poem.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Tell us a bit about it. Well, how did it come about?
So basically for a little while, so cut a long story short, right? I was away from home from a pretty young age, but I ended up doing pretty well. And I managed to study in America, like a few years down the line. And the place I went to, right? It was kind of renowned for like attracting like people from quite wealthy and quite white backgrounds. So there were only a few people of color on campus. And we'd literally be walking down the campus, right? And this would happen so often. I'd be walking down the campus and someone would stop me in my tracks and say something like, yo, this is a private university campus, no locals allowed, as if I'm not from a different continent. And one day someone stopped me in my tracks and she literally pointed to the way off of the university campus. And she said the words, "Why are you here?" I was astounded because I didn't have the energy that day. But also I couldn't say, like, I didn't say anything. I probably could have, but I wrote this more around the time of Brexit talks, when people were talking about other people in a way where it's like they felt they had the authority to say who should be allowed to be anywhere. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think that's so relevant at the moment now, right? Because like, shout out to all the key workers, right? The teachers, the NHS stuff, like all those people that are working so hard at the moment to save people. Such a high number of them are immigrants. They're or people that weren't necessarily born here, but they're saving lives. So what do those people have to say now? Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. That's my favorite thing. I love that. My favorite thing out of all of this is Eastern Europeans that got booted out being asked to come back to pick the fruit. Where's the PMP now?
Do you know what I'm saying?
Come on, soldiers, go pick us some fruit.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
Oh, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
So that was your I'm Here.
Oh, yes.
Want to do Reddish Brown too? You gonna hit us with Reddish Brown? Reddish
Brown, yeah, let's do it. Tupac Shakur said the words, "Long live the roads that grew through concrete when no one else cared." This is Reddish Brown. As soon as I return to my rose-colored spectacles, my brown eyes become hazel. I find Beth. She has faith whenever she remembers to. You don't need to care about my friends. I do. Bernard's will subclass taste. And when his onion skin molds of carbon copies shattered, he refused to be buried beneath the shards. Instead, he climbs upon them to dance, brandishes his feet in tapestries of survival, and he sees the world through hazel-tinted shades. He sees trees raised through concrete, alongside roses born blue, and he blossoms carelessly before us. This world can be wonderful. It's true. The leaking roof is waterfall. Let Tala swim. Anthony met his mark and it's beautiful. Let love win. I see masonettes at the other end of ladders which I am not set up to climb, but let pipe dreams be my mountains and satellites be my stars. Deprive me of your promises, render my fairy tales no less than my resource of a looking glass. We will be okay. I sink into the carols of my community and your reality out of their tune. I let hazel become the tint of my spectacles. and allow the world to feel rosy whenever I remember to.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, hit us with some knowledge about this one, please.
So I wrote this during a show process that I'd done not long before Christmas.
Yeah.
And although it was in response to a show, I feel like the poem stands alone in and of itself, right? Because the show was about people that congregated in like a community center sort of thing. And then cut a long story short, one of the main things that linked them was the fact that they didn't have very much, but they ended up having each other, right? And their music and the things they do. And I feel like, okay, I'm a bit of a cheesy person, you know what I'm saying? I'm a bit Sophie and whatnot. And so, do you know what? But one thing I feel like I've learned, and that I feel like is an important thing for people to like remember, is that I don't think it's ever about necessarily what you've been through, what you're going through. I think it's a lot more about who you're going through it with, or what and who you're going through it for, sort of thing. And the crux of that poem basically is taking the topic of community. It's like, find your tribe, like NYT, like that's a tribe, that's community, that's a family, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And your actual, like, shout out to my mum and gran, they're watching right now. Hey, love you.
Don't do that. Don't do that. My mum's going to be mad at me for not doing the same thing.
I'm sorry, but I had to. I love them too much, you know. I planned out before. I'm not that I'm saying you don't love your mum. Okay, let me stop before. But hey, mum.
I'm going to get no dinner for the rest of the week now. Thanks, Corey.
I'm sorry. I don't think about these things.
Listen, thank you so much for sharing both of those poems. They're both absolutely beautiful. Your energy is infectious, and I'm really happy to be working with you. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Next up, we have Will. We have Will A doing a monologue by Will S. He's doing Othello by Shakespeare.
Her father loved me, oft invited me, still questioned me the story of my life. From year to year, the battles, sieges, fortunes that I have passed, I ran it through. Even from my boyish days to the very moment that he bade me tell it, wherein I spake of most disastrous chances, of moving accidents by flood and field, of hairbreadth escapes ere the imminent deadly breach, of being taken by the insolent foe and sold to slavery, of my redemption thence, and portents in my travels histories, wherein of Anta's vast and deserts idle, rough quarries, rocks and hills, whose heads touched heaven. It was my hint to speak, such was the process, and of the cannibals that each other eat, the anthropophagi and men whose heads do grow beneath their shoulders. This to hear, with Desdemona seriously incline, and with a greedy ear devour up my discourse. My story's being done. She gave me for my pains a world of sighs. 'Twas strange. 'Twas passing strange. 'Twas pitiful. 'Twas wondrous pitiful. She wished that she had not heard it, yet she wished that heaven had made her such a man. She thanked me and bade me that if I had a friend that loved her, I should but teach him how to tell my story, and that would woo her. Upon this hint I spake. She loved me for the dangers I had passed, and I loved her that she did pity them. This only is the witchcraft I have used.
Amazing. How anticlimax is me in my own way. Oh my God, that was phenomenal. Yeah, tell us, what made you pick a bit of classical text?
So I did this play pretty much 2 years exactly now at school, and I think it really helped demystify Shakespeare for me. I think it had been quite other up until then. I'd read it and, you know, I enjoyed fragments of it, but I think reading Othello and really seeing him as a human, as a person who genuinely just, despite all the nonsense which is thrown on him. So the context of this was, it was Act 1, Scene 3, and he's just been accused of compelling Desdemona, his wife, of witchcraft by his father, Brabantio. And funnily enough, I think it kind of linked to what Corey was saying about how you can have these labels imposed on you as a person of color, and the way in which he deals with it is through grace and showing what he's been through as opposed to arguing with it outright. And yeah, he just came across as a really real guy to me, as opposed to somebody bouncing up and down on the stage who I can't relate to. So yeah, I really love that monologue and that play as a whole.
Yeah, you say he seemed like a really real guy to you, and you portrayed it like that. And I think the biggest thing with Shakespeare is, you know, it's so hit and miss. Sometimes you can go and see it and you can feel really isolated from it because you just don't understand what's going on or what's being said. I think reading it may be slightly easier because you can sort of take your time translating it, but definitely watching it, sometimes you can feel a bit like, oh, I don't understand what's going on. But you are one of those rare people who managed to harness what William has written and portray it in a way that it's your words, even though it's not how we speak in today. And I think you've done a really good job for that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for performing it. Lovely. Next we have Elan Ayana doing an original poem called I See Myself.
Hi, I'm Elan and this is my poem, I See Myself. What do I see when I look in the mirror? I see myself. I see the norm and the daring, those daring ones, the glitches, the faults in our systems, the ones who speak truth. But the truth is too hard and leaves gunshot wounds, like the words that you said to me cut through my skin like a knife and stabbed deep inside. The truth so cancerous, anyone who speaks it is automatically deemed as worthless or insensitive or just nothing. We live in Barbie's little dream house, told that we need a Ken doll to hold us up when we walk. Like we're up for grabs. Like we can't grab back, grab a bat and swing it at you, don't you dare. Grab me like that. What is our world? We're a world built up on playing cards, 1 inch from caving in, breeding fear on immigration and terrorism, grouping an entire race of people into one, when in reality, it's a haystack and a needle. Society pushing us all to the brink of insanity. Our insecurities infest like demons until it's too hard to breathe. Insecurities manifest into one massive lucid dreams. And there's too many thoughts about darkness and death. And how come when I ask people why they want to die feels like coming home, why that is the same feeling? I wonder if my body will ever be able to forgive me for lugging it around as I cry and scream like some meaningless mound, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. That's Shakespeare, didn't you know? Oh no, you didn't. You were too busy watching that new TV show. You know, the one with the pretty pink princesses and their perfect personalities. There's no escape. And suddenly you feel something very tight around the nape of your neck. You wake up. You think that you're dreaming, but it turns out that you're not. And suddenly you're staring straight down at our society, and preppy plastic princesses pop up like paper from a printer, and plastic people pummel us paper people with problems. And there is no hypothesis for the world that we live in. We just follow the rules and let the plastic people win, created from some higher status interference. We follow bad patterns like the disciples followed Jesus. And I look in the mirror and I see myself. see myself. Thanks.
Wow, thank you so much. That was so powerful.
Thank you.
Yeah, tell me about this poem. When did you write it? What inspired you?
Okay, so I wrote it a year ago when I was doing my NYT summer intake course. And it was after a day that we had to like get split into groups, and there was a movement group, a singing group, and then a writing group. And I was put in the writing group. And I like written stuff before, but I wasn't fully confident with it. So I was put in this group, and there was 5 or 6 of us, and we were trying to figure like one line that could like shape the whole little bit of piece that we're going to write. So the thing we came up with was I see myself, and I don't know, something struck a chord inside of me with that. So I went back to my accommodation that day. I didn't speak to anyone. I spent the rest of my day in the dorm, and I just started writing down like random stuff about the words I see myself, even like, oh, you know, see is a verb, like whatever, all of that. And then it kind of developed into the piece that I performed. So yeah.
And what a fantastic piece. Honestly, so beautifully written.
Thank you.
Do you write lots? Is this one of many?
I mean, I've got a couple, but this is like the first one that I made, and I thought, okay, yeah, I think this is something to talk about. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, keep them coming, girl. Honestly, everyone in the comments on YouTube are, you know, they're giving you that confidence that you need, and I think you're amazing, and I'm sure everyone watching does. That was really beautifully written, and I yeah, write some more. The world needs more of that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we have Rachel, and she's doing a monologue from For Coloured Girls.
Hi everyone, this is my monologue. I hope you enjoy it. All I remember is tubes and tables, whitewashed windows, and grime from age wiped over. I was laying there with my legs spread, anxious, wondering, how in the hell did I get here? How could I have let this happen? I knew I didn't mean to. I didn't want this. This wasn't a part of my plan. But then who would plan something like this? You see, this isn't something that you wake up one morning and think, this is what I want. No. No, what I wanted at that point was to scream, get off me. But I couldn't. I guess the time had passed for me to do that. So I sat there, in the blood, in that crusty makeshift hospital. And all I kept thinking about was how I couldn't have you looking at me. Pregnant. How my friends couldn't see me because of the shame, the regret, and the pain. But I didn't say a word. Not a sigh or a fast scream to get all of those eyes off me. Nothing. It hurt, and it hurt so bad. But nobody came. Because nobody knew I was pregnant. And nobody was going to know. That was it.
Oh, wow. That was so moving, so powerful.
Thank you.
What made you choose this?
Well, obviously the play For Coloured Girls was originally a book of choreo poems, but Tyler Perry did a movie adaptation in 2010, and I watched it and I was like, wow. Like the storytelling was amazing. And not only because the movie is basically a group of Black women coming together to create such an amazing piece of work about the different trials and the different, you know, troubles that they face as Black women in America. I just thought that is amazing. And obviously because of the monologue as well, I think it's quite technically challenging to portray such emotion. So I was like, I'm going to give myself a challenge. So I've been working on it, and I've just tried to perfect it. And it's really good for me, I think, like emotionally challenging to be able to portray such a difficult topic. But yeah, so I loved the movie, and also I wanted to give myself a challenge as well.
Yeah, it was a really emotional piece. And I think what you did beautifully is something that we're taught at drama school is the best way to portray emotion is when, I mean, the times that an audience feels the emotion the most is when the actor is not trying too hard to cry, or, you know, when they're trying to hold it back, that's when you feel for it. And I think that's what made that piece so moving, is that you weren't trying to push for tears or, you know, screwing up your face or trying to make yourself emotional. You let the words do that. You put yourself in that position and you let yourself feel what that character would be feeling. You did a really good job. Tell me more about yourself though, because you're not actually an NYT member, are you?
No, I'm not. So it's funny because I did audition for NYT before, obviously, but it didn't go my way that year. But I because you know how you can subscribe with them and you can like join the emailing list. So all of the emails that they sent out about different things like happening and stuff, I get them. So it came through on my email, like all of the different things that you're doing throughout lockdown. And then I saw this and I was like, ooh, this seems exciting. Like, I was like, oh, anything I can do to really put myself out there and to be able to, you know, perform and entertain people and uplift people, I'd really try to take those chances. So I am part of your mailing list, so I do get all of the things that you do.
I love that. I love that hustle. That was my favorite thing, like going through the spreadsheet of everyone who had submitted, and I was like, this girl's not a member. She applied to be a member. They said no, and she was like, I don't care. I'm still going to be in one of your shows, baby, and I'm going to smash it. So I tell you what, don't worry. I'm going to send this link straight to Paul and say, what are you doing? Come on.
It was a while ago though, so.
Well, I mean, if this isn't an audition enough, I don't know what is. You're always welcome to perform with me, girl.
Thank you.
We got people in the YouTube comments saying, make her a member now.
Oh my God.
There's going to be an uproar. There's going to be an uprising. People are actually going to boycott NYT unless we get Rachel on the books. Come on, we need to get this done.
Thank you. But no, that's how I came about it. Yeah, but thank you for having me. It's been so much fun, and everyone's so talented.
Thank you so much for being a part of it. I mean, yeah, I'm so proud of every single person that's been performing and is yet to perform. So yeah, I'll catch up with you again in the Q&A.
All right, thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Right, next up we have Eliz Avni with her original poem, The In-Between.
Can you hear me and see me okay?
Yep.
Wicked. Okay. Yeah, this is my poem, The In-Between. I hope you like it. I fell in love with a girl from the in-between. How I did it will shock you. An endeavor that started at just 16, and like a sunbeam, it slowly made its way towards its source. Nourishing, nurturing, supporting. That plant from the in-between with the olive-toned leaves and the thick, fibrous bristles exists in a space of uncertainty and self-definition. This in-between for so long, how did it get overseen? The gardener's hardened and worn boots, each day breaking its roots, limiting its space and stunting its growth. Now that girl from the in-between, much like the wintergreen, can be rare, can be underappreciated, overused and taken for granted. This in-between that exists everywhere and nowhere, where she is defined as everything and nothing is the place that she made her roots. For many years, the gardener's boots stunting her roots was enough to silence her, until she realized her power lies in her growth. The self-definition of her own condition is where her power lies. She flowers on creativity, blossoms on self-love, and strengthens with acceptance. She redefines and reclaims her ground, pushing her roots and these boots, she moves forward. This in-between, like a shape-shifting smoke screen, transforms, uplifts, and then is no longer feared. I fell in love with a girl from the in-between, the most wonderful sight you have ever seen. Who is this girl from the in-between? Well, that girl is me. Thank you.
Hey. Oh, yeah, I'm so chuffed with every single thing that every single person is doing. So I'm trying to think of original things to say once you've all finished, but all I can say is it's great and it's amazing and I'm so happy that it's in the show. Tell us about it. Tell us how you got about it.
Yeah, I wrote it because I had always been struggling with my ethnic and racial identity. And I'd always felt like aesthetically I didn't like completely slot in the UK. And my family is from the Turkish side of Cyprus, and so when I'd go back there I felt like I culturally didn't fit in because my parents were immigrants to the UK. And it was always something that had troubled me and made me feel quite like I was in this in-between space. And I read an article from a rapper I like, and he was talking about ethnic ambiguity and was saying that it was his superpower and that it made him a shapeshifter. Sorry?
Which rapper is that? Sorry.
Loyal Kana.
Oh,
he's amazing. He's amazing. Yeah, and he was saying that, and I just completely flipped it on its head for me. I saw it as this thing where I can define how I want to be, and it doesn't have to be something that someone else is placing on me. And like a plant, I can make my roots wherever I want. So yeah, that's where it came from.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. It's something that a lot of people, a lot of mixed race people feel. I know I personally feel like that as well. A lot of the time now, I'm nearly 25 and I've sort of got to a point in my life where I'm starting to understand things better and also not give a shit. But for the best, up until now, there was a lot of to and fro in my mind of, you know, where do I fit in? What am I? Am I ever going to fit in anywhere? So I think you've just, what a wonderful way to portray that feeling.
Thanks. I really enjoyed
it. Thank you. Next, we have Farah doing a monologue called Meri Kasam.
Hey, so yeah, Meri Kasam, which is Punjabi for my promise. 5 p.m, 5 hours to go till, fingers crossed, I'm off to Soho. So little time, so much to do. And then I get to tell her, I love you. I've got this. I just need to make them believe that I'm off to revise bio with Neve, which will take a while and I'll finish late, so then I'll sleep over because she's my mate. Abba, don't worry, I'll be back by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Sounds great. Heart beats fast, palms get hot. For this night out, it's worth the damn shot to lie to Abba and Dadi. Dadi, मैं तेनू गल दसना है. अच्छा, मैं मेरी सहेली दे घर वैसा बड़े इम्तिहान पढ़ने लिए. ये वो इम्तिहान है जिसमें मेडिकल स्कूल दाखला मिल सी. कोई फिक्र ना करना, मैं सहेली दे घर से वैसा. उसकी अम्मी इजाजत दे चुकी है. कोई फिक्र ना करना, मेरा वादा है मैं 8 बजे से पहले मुड़ पहुंचा. कोई फिक्र ना करना. Meri kasam hai. At first she looks a bit concerned. Koi fikr na karna, main mur pahuncha. Meri kasam hai. Then guilt floods my stomach as she kisses my head, gives me 40 quid for the cab journey ahead. I feel like I've misled the people who love me, my family. Next, I go to tell Abba my lies in this disguise of a perfect Pakistani daughter. Then, to my surprise, he denies my right to go out tonight. I plead, Abba, please. But all I receive is a command to my room. I freeze. No, I have to go. I want to say, Dad, I'm in love and my girlfriend needs me tonight, so I don't care if I have to put up a fight with that backward brain for her. For Elaine. I hate myself. Abba, as you wish, abiding by his command, leading a double life, living a lie, exhausting and haunting me till the day I die. Thank you.
Oh gosh, it's phenomenal, phenomenal.
Thank you.
So we have the translation of the Punjabi on the chat. So if anyone wants to go and have a look on that on the YouTube chat, it is there. But you know what? I think it just really works about the subtitles as well, because it's just like you are such a performer that just you want to watch. You get drawn in. Your energy and the way you're performing. It's like I just want to watch you constantly. So it's like I don't even know what you're saying, but I'll just sit here and watch anyway. Tell us about this piece. Is it based on true life or is it fiction?
So this hasn't happened to me, this particular incident. I don't have the guts to sneak out of the house, but
otherwise you're in trouble.
Yeah, I am from Pakistan, the Punjab, and I also identify as LGBTQ. And it's a struggle with the fact that I feel I love my family, but I can't be who I am with them. And it's this identity of how I don't know exactly where I fit in, I feel like I'm lying to everyone. And for me, I want to create an entire one-woman show, an entire play from this concept. And this was like the start of the cycle, 3 a.m. in the morning. I was just like, I need to write something, and it just came to me. And also I remember when I did NYT, my course leader, Christine Landon-Smith, who is amazing, she told me about how I need to take that control over the fact that I can speak other languages. And I always like use that in my pieces, because it's like, it's my other voice. And
it's what makes you unique. You should always use that. And I really do think you should. Yeah, I'm excited to see this in a one-person show, and I'm there front row seat the moment that this gets put on, which it should do, because I mean, why wouldn't it be? It's amazing.
Oh, thanks. I mean, watching you last year perform at Rush really inspired me, and so many of my friends who created these one-woman shows, like based on their own experiences. It's just so inspirational. So thank you, Shakira.
And just the message that it sends, like as you say, I think it's across the board of ethnic minorities, it is slightly more taboo to be part of the LGBTQIA+ community, in being part of those ethnic minorities. I am someone who identifies as queer, but I'm also someone who has a really laid back left-wing mum who's like pretty much just a mad hippie. So it's never been an issue for me, coming out wasn't this big deal. So it's really interesting even for myself to hear these stories, because I'm like, I know that there are a lot of other people from different races who it's just like, it's not a thing, it's not a thing you discuss. And hopefully, I mean, we've got a long way to go with homophobia and racism, but one day we will get there.
Yeah, hopefully. Be a good day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And next up, to close the live portion of our show, we have the extremely talented Anna Phillips, who is doing a cover of Prince, How Come You Don't Call Me Anymore?
Alright, yeah. So I'm doing How Come You Don't Call Me Anymore by Prince, as Shakira said. I'll just jump straight in. I keep your picture beside my bed, and I still remember everything you said. Sometimes I feel like I don't wanna die. If you don't call me, well, you gotta try. Down on my knees, I'm begging you, please, please. Come on and Chloe. Come on and Chloe.
Oh my gosh, the spirit as Prince has flown down and entered your body. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Tell us what made you pick this song.
Well, I used to love singing when I was little. Just used to love it all the time. Like my idols were like Beyonce, Alicia Keys, and she's done a cover of this song too. Yeah, and I just think, I don't know, I think growing, as I got older, especially going to uni, and I was always in like very white dominant spaces. And I think that when you start singing, like I'm just someone that likes singing. I don't necessarily want to be a singer. That's not something that I'm particularly aspiring to. But if you say that you sing, I found, like as a person of color, they put certain tags on that, or they expect a certain kind of voice type from you. And I'm not someone that has I don't consider myself having a particularly like strong or Beyonce kind of voice. And I've really found it quite hard, or I don't know, I've always been insecure about saying, oh, I sing, but I don't sing like that. Or I don't know, I've just been really conscious of voice types being imposed on me. And then in lockdown, I don't know, I just kind of was like, I know you've loved singing for so long. Let's just use this platform just to sing. It doesn't matter what you look like or what people expect from you. Just sing. So yeah.
Okay, first off, no one sings like Beyonce but Beyonce. Don't even try to reach that.
I know, honestly, I've tried.
You're gonna feel disappointed.
Notes.
No, me and my mum try it all the time. We do Love on Top, and we go high with her at the end, and we try and get higher and higher. And unfortunately, it never works. I just think it was a beautiful rendition. Everyone in the comments on YouTube are in agreement. Just keep singing, keep performing, even if you don't want to be a singer or a performer. And I think that's brilliant. I think, like you said, if as soon as you say you're a singer to some people that you like singing, they're immediately like, oh, that's what you want to do. And if you weren't to become a singer, they'd maybe tie you with the brush of not being successful because you haven't got jobs in that field. But sometimes people just want to do it for fun.
Yeah, just do it. That's what I would say to anyone who wants to just perform for the sake of performing. Do it.
Oh, amazing. Well, I hope to see more of this sometime.
Thank you.
Yeah, especially if this is your like lockdown hobby. Get on YouTube or something. I need more of this in my life.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being a part of it and performing so beautifully. Next, we are going to cut to a premiere of Tiana's web series Conspiracy. Whilst this is playing, guys, please feel free to put questions on the chat on the YouTube link to ask the cast afterwards, because we're going to do a Q&A. So yeah, keep them coming. We've got a few in already. Yeah, brilliant. Over to Tiana.
Oh, hello. Hi.
Hey.
Yeah, so this is my first episode of my show called Conspiracy. I don't know how it's gonna, Joe's the master of all this, so I don't know how it's gonna come onto the screen, but the two actors in this are Mercedes Amoroso and Francesca Rivers, and I'm really, really excited for you guys to see it. So, yeah.
And that's how they faked the moon landing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a mad one.
Yeah. Is that it?
Did I say about the shadows on the moon?
Yeah, 5 times.
All right, okay. In that case, yeah, that's it.
Wait, so let me get this straight.
Sure.
You let me travel from zone 6 to zone 1, peak time on the London Underground in the middle of the week, straight after a double shift, just to tell me about your conspiracy theories on the moon landing.
Did I mention that the flag was flapping in the photos, even though there is no wind in space?
Are you serious? Do you not see the problem with phoning someone up and saying you urgently need to see them as soon as possible just to tell them about this stupidity?
I feel like you haven't heard what I've said. See, the moon landing was
I swear to fuck, mention the moon landing one more time and my foot will go bravely where no man has ever gone before.
Jesus.
You're an idiot. I'm leaving.
Wait, there is one more thing.
I swear if it's got anything to do with this moon landing.
I found him.
Who?
Dad. I found him.
Not this again. Dad's dead.
No, he isn't.
Don't do this. It's not funny or cute.
I'm serious. Look at this photo.
And what am I looking at?
The Epping Rangers football team. Picture was taken yesterday after the last game of the season. Now, look at this guy, second to the last on the right.
Okay.
That's him.
I can't do this anymore.
It's him, I promise.
The moon landing was faked. Bigfoot is real, and his name is Phyllis. The Loch Ness Monster is under the London Aquarium. Look, enough. None of this is true. I just don't want to hear it anymore. It's just all stupid lies and make-believe for people like you to avoid their actual problems.
What's that supposed to mean?
Dad died, and he's not coming back. He never will.
You don't know that?
I do.
That's him, right there.
No, that's a middle-aged white guy who's clearly used the sunbeds too much. He's practically an Oompa Loompa.
No, that's not right. He's
not our dad.
I should go. Sorry for. I need to go.
Hey, Dad. Yeah, look, I'm fine. What did I tell you about photos for football? It's fine, I sorted it. But can you just make sure it doesn't happen again?
What? What? I actually gasped.
I'm so glad. I'm just sitting here. I can hear my heart in my ears, and I've seen it so many times. I'm like, oh God, I hope it goes down well. That twist. But
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. Yeah, go off, sis. Tell me all about it.
Oh my God. So, basically, I'm a really big fan of Inside Number 9 and all those kind of shows that have like real big twists at the end of the show. So when in the last couple of weeks, NYT have been doing this thing of like weeks to be creative, and they sent through this one on conspiracy, and I was kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. So I basically started writing it, and I stopped it at the bit that obviously the dad is dead, and I was like, okay, cool, let's just end it there and I'll submit it. And then I was like, actually, you know, it'd be really like messed up is if the dad isn't dead, and actually the twist at the end is you know, he's alive and what happens next. And so I kind of started writing it, and I heard two really distinctive voices in my head. I'm so blessed to obviously be part of the National Youth Theatre and stuff, so you get to meet so many cool people. And Fran I met on my 2013 course. Makes me feel really old. Yeah,
I was 2012, baby, don't worry.
Yeah, it makes, but she's just an amazing, her energy is so good. And McKady, who did Rush last year, she just has this beautiful energy as well. And so when I was kind of casting for it as well, I kind of was like, these two will like bounce off each other so well. And so we did a rehearsed reading, and it came out really good. And we then took it to the next week of the creative courses that happen, I think, every Monday. And Paul was there, and everyone was just like, yeah, it looks really good. Like the thing was, what happens next? What happens next? So with that in mind, I was kind of like, well, like, I'm stuck inside at the moment. And Zoom is a big thing that people are recording loads of things on. And actually, for a kind of twisting kind of conspiracy idea of what happens next to the show, it would look really cool if all of this was filmed on Zoom. So I'm writing, hopefully we'll be producing, so 5 in total, so another 4 episodes. And yeah, hopefully you'll find out what happens and why the dad is still alive.
I'm fully hooked, so I'm there every week. We're doing waiting. I'm already the biggest fan of Conspiracy, the web series.
Thank
you. No, it's really fantastic. It's such a, like you said, it's such a good use. I think for a creative in this time, you can either start writing and save it till after this is all done, which is obviously fair enough, or you can harness this opportunity and do what you can do with it now. And I'm actually going to send this video to a director I'm working with at school, because we're trying to figure out how to do a Shakespeare play via Zoom. And that this pilot is the perfect example of what you can do and how, you know, it's not a hindrance, you can actually use it to help you.
Yeah, it's and I thought that, because obviously you've got so many people, like people who are doing videos at the moment who are doing like back to back, so have the camera on one person and then it cut. And the best example is of, you know, Sound of Music, that I can think of was Sound of Music. They didn't all cut, like they weren't all filmed in the same place, they just cut it all together, and it looks really good. But I thought for this particular project, you know, both Fran and McKady have such beautiful faces that capture that like emotion, and I was like, I couldn't risk like trying to make it super like back to back and actually not catch what they're like each other reacting to each other, because obviously that's acting. But yeah, it really works well on Zoom, and I've been pleasantly surprised at how many cool things you can do on Zoom. So yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited to see what is to come. I'm literally on the edge of my seat, like, just tell me now. I don't like surprises.
The actors know, so.
Thank you so much for submitting this and for being a part of the show. It's lovely to work with you again.
Thank you.
Right, so we're going to go for some questions. We've got quite a few on YouTube. You can go through these. The first one we have is for Will, and is, how was the process of becoming Othello? Do you find that you can relate to the character on a personal level? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, yeah. So I had a great director, you know, my favorite teacher at school, Scott Handy, who basically helped unpick, I guess, what was going on from a human level right the way through. So before we jump into a scene or anything, it was what's the context of this, and how does it feel for Will in this situation? And I think for me, the big thing which I latched onto was just that concept of imposter syndrome for him. He's in this great position. He's got, you know, all these achievements under his belt, but it only takes a seed in his ear from Iago for things to collapse about. And why is that? It's just because he's not settled in his own identity. And for me, I feel like, especially towards my earlier years in school, it was just navigating that place of, I'm doing these things, but do I really deserve it? Is this me? am I worthy of this position? So I think that's what I try to latch onto and harness through him. It's just a sense of not belonging here. Yeah.
Amazing, thank you so much.
Problem.
But yeah, and it showed, like I said before, when after you performed it, it showed you really harnessed it and made it your own. And I think that's the most important thing as an actor to do with any of their characters, is figure out their situation and then go, okay, so how would I react in this situation, and then add the layers on top of that. And you've done that phenomenally. I would watch you. Where's the RSC? I hope the RSC are watching this. Send them a link, because you need to get on this.
Thank you.
Oh, the next one's for me. Absolutely loved your monologue. How can we watch and support your one-woman show? Oh, thank you very much. I actually run my own theatre company called Piece of Cake Theatre Company, which is dedicated to uplifting and giving opportunities to artists of colour in the performing arts industry. I've got an Instagram page for it, POC Theatre Co. If you go follow that, then I'll always be putting on updates of what I'm doing. I've been performing it at Scratch Nights around London, and we're getting really good feedback and getting booked for gigs and stuff before Miss Rona said, not this year, sis. So hopefully next year I can get on to that. And yeah, once the world stops ending and we all go back to normal, hopefully I'll be getting that out there more, and hopefully see you guys there, because that'll be sad if I'm just performing to an empty theatre. The next question is for Corey, and they've said, loved your piece concerning the first one, I'm here. Do you find that you're now able to speak back against racial injustices and biases, or do you prefer to do so through your pieces?
Do you know what? I'd say I definitely can. Sometimes, like, there have been occasions where I probably shouldn't have, or at least not so in the way. Yeah, but the thing is, though, that I think art is like the most powerful thing in the. I mean, I would say that because we're like, yeah, we like acting and art, but I think the arts is like the most powerful thing in the world, right? And I think if you can make a great piece of art and it can get everything you want to get across, then I don't know, there seems like there's something special in that anyway. So I'd always vote for like putting it into one of my pieces or stuff like that. But obviously, like, I feel like, do you know what? All right, I'm not gonna ramble like before. I'm gonna try anyway. But I feel like I'm at a point in my life, right, where it's like some of the communities, like I was talking about earlier, especially through some homelessness and stuff like that, I think like you get to a point where it's just like, fuck it. Do you know what I'm saying? What is seen is seen, what is heard, what is. And I feel like a lot more, that we'd have a lot less issues in this world if we were able to be a lot more vulnerable and a lot more transparent, and a lot more open with each other. We'd spend a lot less energy hiding everything, and we'd understand each other more. Because one thing someone said to me one time is, we all go through different experiences, but we all feel the same emotions, right? And so if we were able to understand each other on a deeper, more transparent, more vulnerable level, then we'd see exactly how similar we are. We know a lot better how to deal with each other, because we know what we need. You know, when you're sad, you need certain things. You know, when you're happy, you need certain things. And if we were just all a bit more in tune with all of that, a bit more open with everything, I believe, I could be wrong, I usually am, I believe that could make the world a better place.
No, I fully agree, of course. I think that is our biggest hindrance as a human race, is being too concerned about what other people think of us to some degree, to be able to express ourselves properly. We're always, even people like myself who's quite brash and forward, and I think like I'm very someone who can speak my mind and say what I want and how I feel. There'll still be times when I'm like, okay, let me not speak right now, because that might cause this ripple and cause that ripple. But no, I agree with you, and I think as you've said, I'm sure there were times where you spoke and you did it outside your art that might have got you in trouble. I'm sure that's happened to a few of us throughout our lives. So yeah, keep doing you and keep doing it through your art, because people are going to listen to that, and they're going to listen to that poetic voice and understand what's going on. And I think this is the whole point of Rush. This is the whole point of this showcase, is people speaking their truths and speaking what they've been through, and hopefully people listening, because it's been laid out in such a beautiful poetic way. The next question we have is for Hannah. How did you find the physicality in your amazing piece?
It was just something, I just ended up playing around with it, because I kind of like played with it before, but knowing that I was gonna do this, I wanted to see what I could do. I still wanted it to be a performance, you know, not that there's anything wrong with like sitting and saying it, but I wanted the movement to add to what was being said, if that makes sense, and really like hammer it in. It was more just playing around with it and finding the different beats throughout the words, sometimes where I felt like it was more of a character speaking or a narration or an explanation, and I played around with that. I think that's really, kind of how it came about, with wanting to just emphasize the different beats that were being shown throughout the piece. And also because I put two pieces together, I wanted it to flow nicely as well.
And it did. It was like, perfect. It flew. Oh God, it's come to the end of the day. It flowed perfectly, and the physicality for me made it what it was. Not only did you have this energy, this raw energy, and the rhythm and the timing was perfect, and the acting was brilliant, but the physicality, I mean, with the being shoved on the bus and stuff, that just brought something else to it. I mean, it would have been brilliant without it, like you say, if you were just sat down or stood up reading it, but that physicality just brought like an extra bit of spice.
Oh, great, thank you. I wanted to try and create the world, I think, and I was like, what are little things that I can do? It's like we've all been in that situation, we're on the bus and we're like so I think it was just like sprinkling little things throughout to try and help sort of show the picture and images and show the world that we were currently in.
Like I say, it was just, I'm still in awe. I can't wait to watch it back. It was brilliant. Everyone, in the comments and stuff as well, was just like, I mean, if Arinze ever brings that back to go on tour, get him to hit you up to be his new understudy, or to be that main bitch.
Thank you.
Someone has asked, is this going to be a regular Sunday show? If not, why not? I would love for it to be a regular Sunday show. Probably isn't going to be, as a lot goes into it and a lot of people have different things going on in their lives, but hopefully we'll do it more regular than we have, because we did it originally once as a one-off for Black History Month at Holloway Road, and the plan was to do it every year for Black History Month, but I was really happy when NYT asked me to do an online version of it. Even happier when I started seeing all these brand new submissions of people I'd never seen before, as well as the guys who did it with me last time, and with all this like all these brand new topics that have been brought up, and so much. You guys just gave so much, and it was so, every single piece was so moving, whether it was originally written or a pre-published play, you made it your own. And I think that's so important. And I think a showcase of young talent in itself is important to have regularly, but especially one for artists of colour, because that's the whole point of all this. We don't get enough representation, and we don't get enough opportunities to perform in general, let alone perform the pieces that we want to perform or we have written. So hopefully we'll do this more regularly. It won't be a weekly thing, but hopefully we'll do it more than just the once a year as it was originally planned. Next we have one for Heart. How did you overcome the fear of authenticity?
I don't think I did. I don't know if I ever will. I think it's one of those things that you sort of carry with you and learn to live with, and day by day try and like chip away at it bit by bit. I'm gonna sound like a parrot, but my mum, she's going to be like, oh my God, he listens to me. But she always says, she's like, take note of who you're around, what you're doing, and where you are when you feel the most like yourself. And when I think about that, I'm like, oh, I know exactly what that is. And I know where that is. And I know who that is. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, I want that on a t-shirt. Go Mama Fargo.
Don't joke, because she will make it.
No, I'm there, I'm here, I'm buying the merch. I'll promote the merch. I'll get it all over my Instagram, I promise. Brilliant, thank you for answering that. And the last question we have on here is for Chloe. And they've said, I relate. I loved your poem both times. Do you find that writing all those emotions down allows you to be more compassionate to yourself and not ascribe to societal standards?
What a question. First of all, thank you so much. And I'm gassed that I was able to be heard, like, from some people out there. So that's brilliant, clicking all around. I feel like, so for me, I've been raised in, especially as a tall, like, curvy, big mixed race woman, I was raised in a very white-based environment, Jewish background. So I was always around people who really weren't like me. So when I started realizing, you know, I really am this massive creative spirit, and I managed to channel that for myself and try and embrace, as soon as I hit college, that's when I really saw people who were like me, and that I'm not the only, like, tall, curvy girl out here. There's plenty of us who are absolutely stunning and about. So as soon as I started writing down, like, you know, what just flowed out of that to hit it for myself, you know, as much as I write, you know, like, what I want to try and impact for an audience to be appreciating and believing, it's also so impactful for yourself to be telling yourself, yeah, like, I am that beautiful girl. I am here, slaying with the curves, slaying with the curls. So that's really what it is, I guess, if that makes any sense. Like, just keep on going and, like, try find anything to, like, impact, like, to embrace yourself and impact it everywhere, because we all need to show, like, what all our differences are that make us unique and special. That makes sense.
Oh my gosh, what a perfect answer.
Just came out.
I know,
it came out well.
I could see the cogs turning and it just flowing out of you, and I was like, wow, imagine if she was it wouldn't just be random rambles. It would probably be constructive and worth listening to. No, but I get it. I mean, as a fellow tall, curvy, mixed race lady, I get it. It's hard. I find myself personally, in the times when I'm starting to be self-deprecate and be hard on myself, especially for the way I look, especially if it's to do with things like my curves and things like that, I have to take a minute and go, I've not been around enough people like myself lately, because all these insecurities came from being the only Black person in my entire school, the only Black person in my entire friendship group, literally until I moved to London about 2 years ago. So I get it. Like, my hair was curly, my thighs and bum was big, I had a big nose and big lips and all these things that I got picked on, which people are now paying for. So yeah, and then you come into your own and you start to see more people on social media who look like you. And if there's people on social media who don't look like you, who make you feel crap, unfollow them. Who cares? And they're irrelevant to your life. They're not going to make your life any better by looking at them every day. Follow more people who do look like you, be around more people who do look like you, and that's how you gain your confidence in how you are and how you look. Okay, well, what an emotional way to wrap up the live stream, guys. Is there a way we can, like, view everybody? Get like I'm so bad at tech. Is there a way we can do like a gallery view where everybody is shown at once on the screen? Oh.
Yeah, we've got everyone back now.
Everyone, yeah? Okay, awesome. Well, everybody take a bow. Congratulate yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back. I'm genuinely in awe of every single piece that every single one of you have done. I am so chuffed and, like, just so happy that you even wanted to be a part of my little show, and that I get to work with you guys, and I have this network with you guys, and hopefully can work with you guys in the future. Yeah, I'm gonna get even more emotional now. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Everyone take a big bow and clap yourselves.
Just that.
And thank you, Shakira, and also a huge thanks to Joe, who, like, is the tech wizard.
Round of applause
Big
for
up
both
yourself,
of you.
Joe Duggan, because none of this would have been possible if not. And thank you everyone who's tuned in and watched. We really appreciate it. Like I said, the whole point of this showcase is to get artists of colour seen and heard. So just by sitting there watching and enjoying all the amazing talent that we've had tonight, you are helping change the world. You're doing it, you're pushing it forward, we're going in the direction we want to go. Like I said before, we'll hopefully do more of these, and hopefully you'll see all of these lovely faces again soon. Thank you.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.